Okay, hello YouTube. I'm going to show you something interesting you can do against this quirky move order that some people use to reach the Philidor defense. After e4, d6, d4, knight f6, we have a perk, and then knight c3, and then people will sometimes play e5. This is actually a quirky move order people try to reach the Philidor. And there's this independent line you can play. You can play d takes e5, d takes e5, but for the most part, you should probably just transpose back into a Philidor with knight f3, and then they're going to play knight on b to d7, which is typically referred to as the lion defense in the Philidor. So here you're going to play the move bishop to c4, and then they're going to play the move bishop e7. Now, one of the annoying, quirky things about this move order is they've made you kind of insert this move knight to c3, which normally you wouldn't have inserted. If this bishop was still on f8 and you hadn't played knight c3 yet, you would have had d5, d5, knight g5, and black's position would have been completely unsound. But here, black's position is sound. Like, black is not losing by force, and it's actually a little frustrating. Like, you really like to play something like this move, bishop takes f7, king f7, knight g5, and then knight to e6, but it's been well known for a long time that this position is very good for black, because this queen shoots out to the g6 square, and black basically just has huge amounts of compensation for whatever's going on here. And this position should just be considered major advantage black. So what are you supposed to do here after they've done all this? Well, you have two options. You can just play the really respected and really safe move here. You can just castle, and this is just supposed to be slight edge white. If they take on d4, obviously you're just going to take back with the queen. This is slight advantage white. And if they do something like castles kingside, you're just going to continue improving your position by playing a4, rook e1, b3, bishop b2, and then reorganizing your bishop to d3 and reorganizing your knight to g3. This is what happened in Carlsen versus Jimenez in 2019, and Magnus Carlsen as white had a slight edge and went on to win this game. But what about for those of us that are a little bit more aggressive and want to do something different? What do we do after bishop e7? If bishop takes f7 doesn't work, is there any cutesy tactic that we can try? Well, first off, you would really need to take on e5 first. You need to play d takes e5 and then wait for the response d takes e5. Now, again, the move bishop takes f7 is a little premature, because it will allow a lot of counterplay from black, even though the position is super interesting. Like, if bishop f7, king f7, knight g5, this is really borderline. Like, king g6 is supposed to be the best move. Then you could try something like f4, ef4, knight e6, queen g8, and then knight d5 is a very interesting position. But it is supposed to be slight edge black. All the complications are supposed to work out for black, but only slightly, so it's definitely an interesting position that's worth a shot. But what I think is an even more interesting position that's worth a shot, and the move that I actually recommend, is this weird-looking move that almost looks like a mistake. This move, knight to g5. This almost just looks like a beginner's way to attack the position. You're attacking the f7 square, even though it's blatantly obvious that black can just castle and defend it. And this is usually a beginner's mistake because it's very well known that two pieces are not worth more than a rook, are worth a lot more than a rook and a pawn. Like, you should never give up two pieces for a rook and a pawn. You really need to get at least a rook and two pawns, or preferably more, if you're going to give up two pieces. But in this case, you are actually getting more. And the reason for that is what you do is you play bishop takes f7. And then after rook f7, you play knight e6. And black doesn't get the same level of counterplay that he does in the other lines, because black's queen is trapped moving between these passive squares. Actually, we could definitely argue that this position is completely sound, because after queen e8, knight c7, queen d8, we're gonna play the move knight takes a8, and of course, if black decided to play something like queen f8, we could have just repeated moves with knight e6, queen e8, etc. So we're gonna play queen d8, knight takes a8, and now they need to trap our knight. They're gonna play this move pawn to b6, and eventually we're gonna play knight takes b6. And that means that we're not getting a rook and two pawns for the two pieces. We're getting a rook and three pawns for the two pieces. So we can definitely make the argument that this should be completely sound for white. White has more than enough material for the material that he gave up. He should have a material advantage. And as a matter of fact, the engine seems to think that this position is slight edge white. And it's not a super explored position on the highest levels either. So it's a position that really does deserve a little bit more exploration. There's been a couple different games in this position that have gone down the path, like bishop e3, and then apparently bishop a6 is objectively the best move, but a lot of people have played bishop b7, and regardless, white's just getting that third pawn, takes, and then something like pawn to f3 to hold the pawn on e4, and then people are two-stepping that bishop to a6, and then queen d2 was played in Slevsky versus Iranov, played in 2020, and actually white went on to win. So it's kind of an interesting position. It's definitely something worth exploring, and it's a quirky idea. It's something that you can try if you're just sick of playing the main lines where you just have a slight advantage and you have a little bit more space and you have a slightly better game. Well, anyways, I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you learned something new about chess. I hope you can use some of these ideas in your own games. Please hit that like button, hit subscribe, click on your notification icon. Thank you very much for watching.